Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Boobies and Noobies. You can follow us at Boobies Podcast on both Instagram and Twitter. And if you'd like to support the podcast and get a little extra bonus Boobies content every month, you can support us on Patreon at Boobies Podcast. Welcome to Boobies and Noobies, the podcast that asks novice romance readers to think outside the dick in a box and brave the unbridled world of erotica. I'm your host, Kelly Reynolds, and today I'm joined by the amazingly talented, ridiculously organized, and hilarious podcaster, Alicia Ace Cordova. Welcome, Alicia.
Thank you, Kelly. I'm glad to be here. This is fun.
Oh, yes. I'm so glad to have you. We were trying to figure out how long it's been since we last saw each other, and...
Too long is the answer.
Absolutely.
That's as close a ballpark as we got, too.
I don't think people understand, and, I'm sure this is similar in other cities, but when you live in Los Angeles, you can go months... You can go years without seeing somebody that also lives in Los Angeles. And I don't mean like somebody's in San Diego and somebody's in Santa Barbara. Like
No. Just like on the other side of the city.
Yeah, you could all still have a Los Angeles address and not see each other. Yeah. Like, it is so far away.
I have friends that I went to college with who, like, live in Culver City where I work, and I don't think I've seen them in 3 or 4 years.
Like, yeah, it's insane. I
bananas.
See some of my friends in Chicago more often than I see people who live in the same zip code as me. Like,
terrible.
It's ridiculous.
Well, and social media doesn't help because it makes you feel like you've seen people more recently than you have. Which I feel like is maybe why we think we saw each other more recently.
And you know what? It's one of those things where you're like, oh my God, it's like ruining us. Black Mirror, season 5's coming out soon. Yeah. But also, kind of gives you that feeling too of like when you do see somebody for the first time in a long time. Like, I have some friends who, from home that I'll only see them like once a year, like at Christmas time or whenever everybody's home for, some holiday. And it'll feel like we never left. Like, we can just kind of pick up where we left off. But, so social media, it's a hit or miss for me. But, a lot of my living is built off of social media now. So
I know.
I guess I kind of have to embrace it.
Then everyone...
Like it or not.
It's the world we live in.
Ugh. 2019. Here we go. Anyway, Alicia is one of the voices behind Lieography, a podcast about movies based on true stories. I love the idea of this podcast. Like, I haven't listened to it yet because I feel like you told me about it. And I was like, yes, Lieography, gonna listen. And then, didn't, but I had the intention to listen, and I still do.
Well, good.
Especially now that I've seen that there's an episode about Harry and Meghan.
Yes.
I love it. What are some of the other stories and movies that you have talked about on the podcast?
Yeah, so basically what we do is we watch biographical films or historical dramas, and then we discuss how events went down in the movie versus what happened in real life.
Right.
So one of us is the blind host each week. There's 3 of us.
Oh,
and
okay.
The blind host serves as the person who doesn't do any research beforehand and is the blind host there to ask questions and say, so did this really happen? Did that really happen? And then hopefully we've researched
what
the ones who
What a great way to test everyone to see if they did their homework. It's like when the teacher calls on the person that's not raising their hand.
I know. Sometimes somebody will say, did that happen? And we'll be like, actually.
Yeah. You just make them believe.
Yeah. No, we try and be as factual as possible. But, we've done... We do TV movies and theatrical release movies and new movies and old movies. So we've done, we did Molly's Game when it came out.
Yes.
But then we did an episode on, Chaplin that came out, 90s.
Okay, which is,
Exactly. And you saw on our thing, we did Harry and Meghan, A Royal Romance, which was the Lifetime movie that came out, the weekend before the royal wedding.
And I don't know if you're aware, but I was watching Lifetime this past weekend, and they came out with a second film in, this Harry and Meghan story. It, picks up... I think right after they've gotten married, and it's about that first year of marriage or whatever.
Oh
She's writing it down. She's writing it down. Welcome to your next episode of Lieography.
I don't know how I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't know either. It just kind of popped up as I was watching, and I was a little upset because it had started 20 minutes before I started watching. And I'm one of those people where I need to watch it like from the very beginning. It's the reason why I don't watch so many TV shows that other people are like, oh my God, are you all caught up with this? I'm like, no, I stopped watching in season 3, and because of that, I can never watch it again.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so far behind, too far behind. It's not worth it. But...
No, I totally get it.
Yeah.
But I'm writing that down. Harry and Meghan too.
Yes. So you'll have to have there been any movies that you guys have reviewed that were just so far off base from, like, the original story?
Oh, for sure. Well, with Harry and Meghan, we call that one, like, nobody said it didn't happen, because almost all of it is unverifiable. It's, like, stuff that would have happened in, like, private moments between them that there's no documentation of.
I just knew that they met on a blind date. That was, like, the only thing I knew about their relationship.
And then there's movies that just, like, horribly misrepresent the people. Like,
Sure.
the Imitation Game is actually a really good example of a movie that, like, Alan Turing was nothing like the way that Benedict Cumberbatch plays him in the movie.
Super sad. That movie, was really sad.
What happened to Turing was really sad, but we get into it in the show that, like, he was a really, like, dynamic and outgoing guy that everybody really liked.
Oh, that was not the movie.
No,
he's like
Asperger Sherlock in the movie. And
he's
the way that he plays Alan Turing is, like, very introverted on the spectrum, like, can't relate to other people, nobody on the team likes him, and that's not at all how Turing was in real life.
Oh, man, I would have liked to have seen that version better, because I saw Imitation Game, and didn't it win an Oscar for the best adapted screenplay?
It was definitely nominated. I don't remember if it won.
I thought it did win, because I feel like the screenwriter was openly gay, and he made this speech about, like, growing up as a gay artist, and I was like, oh, I feel so moved. I wish I had liked your movie more. But
it was a very interesting thing where we get into this in the show of, like, it would have been such a more interesting portrayal of an LGBT character to have him be this, like, very normal functioning guy.
Right. You know, an accurate portrayal of, like, who he actually was.
Yeah. Because it was like he was this great hero who got persecuted because of who he loved, and it was terrible. Ugh. And that's, like, the movie is just I actually recommend that episode of the show because my co-host John just rips into it. He hates it, and his hatred of that movie comes up several times throughout our show.
I didn't hate it that much.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think I'd use the word hate, but it definitely was not my favorite. I just was kind of like, am I not getting it? Am I missing something?
It's kind of a drab movie. And there's lots of things like that we come up against of, like, this wasn't at all what happened.
I feel like a lot of that happens in biopics, like, because I feel like, you know, producers, directors, everybody that's in, you know, the melting pot, like, wants to put, oh, we gotta add this in, but then when you have 30 fucking voices being we have to, well, and, you know, Alicia and I met, I should mention, working in TV and film development, so we know all about the bullshit that goes into making one of these movies.
For sure.
Oh boy, are you guys, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, too many cooks spoil the broth all the time.
All the time. Are you guys going to watch or review Rocket Man?
Probably. It's on our list of stuff. We have an episode in the can for On the Basis of Sex, the Ruth Bader Ginsburg movie.
Yes, which I haven't seen yet, so I'm going to watch that first before listening to you guys probably tear it apart.
No, we actually liked it. It's not, and the episode's not out yet. We don't really if we enjoy the movie, that's
all that matters.
Yeah.
That's good.
And sometimes they're bad, and sometimes they're great, and sometimes they're so bad they're great.
Oh, those are my favorite kind of movies. Oh, gosh.
A lot of the TV movies fall under that category.
Yeah, that's kind of what you're working with, you know? Like, and when we say TV movie, we mean, like, not Netflix or Hulu, but, you know. No, it's on TV.
The low-budge, like, shot in Ontario in 3 weeks kind of movie.
So good. So good. It's, like, my favorite kind of film. I mean, between November and January, Hallmark Channel is on 24/7. That's right. Absolutely. So if people want to catch up and listen to Lieography, where can they find you guys?
So we are at www.lieographypodcast.com, or you can follow us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher.
Cool.
Yeah.
All the usual suspects. Mm-hmm. Got it.
You can rate and review us on...
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you know,
this is also what we say at the end of all of our episodes, so I haven't practiced.
That's like something that I never, I should encourage people to rate and review this podcast, and I never do, because I'm just like, I hope you like it. Like, just put it out into the universe, but obviously, if you listen to podcasts, especially independent podcasts like this one and Lieography, the ones where we're not making any money whatsoever, it's definitely helpful to us for you to leave a review. Absolutely.
We're here to have fun, and we want other people to have fun with us. And if you leave us reviews, that's how people find us.
Yeah. Well, and at the same time, don't be a dick. Like,
Yeah, if you leave us good reviews, we should.
Right. Okay, so today we will be discussing the book Faking Miss Right, a hot romantic comedy by Claire Kingsley. And this contemporary romance is #spanking new.
Hot off the presses.
Oh my god, I thought you were doing like a bow chicka bow bow, and then it went in a totally different direction. But
I went air horn with it.
Yeah, I gotcha. That was a good air horn.
Thank you.
Yeah, not sexy, but whatever. Air horns aren't sexy, so no offense to anybody who's like into air horns out there. Like, sorry, but everyone has their own thing.
Some air horn fetishist who's like, unsubscribe.
To each their own kink. I am not judging you. That one air horn lover listening out there. I'm so sorry. But yeah, this book just came out a week or so ago, May 23rd, 2019. It's available on Amazon for $2.99, Kindle edition. I think it's actually free if you have Kindle Unlimited.
Oh.
So all the better to you. What a deal, though.
Yeah.
And this is book 1 in a new series by Claire Kingsley. I don't know if we have a theme for... I don't know if there was like a title of the series yet, but I do know that this is the beginning and she's planning to write more books about the characters that appear in this book.
Got it.
I was asked to read an advanced reader's copy of this book by Claire's team, and I happily agreed. I'm very excited that I chose to do so because I actually did really enjoy it, and I plan on continuing reading the rest of the series. I had recently read one of her previous novels, Book Boyfriend, so I was super psyched about getting a first look at her new series. We are participating in the Faking Miss Right Instagram tour, so be sure to check that out.
Exciting.
I love promoting new books, authors. It's whenever somebody sends me a book to read, I'm like, hell yeah. Like, am I going to say no?
I don't think I've ever gotten an advanced copy of a book before.
Oh, I know. Don't you just feel like a little bit of like, I'm like, you like me. You really like me.
It's like, oh, I've arrived.
Yes, so much. I have not arrived.
I for sure haven't either.
My yoga pants I'm wearing have a big ass hole in them. Like, that is like the status of my arrival right now. So, disclaimer, the opinions expressed in this review by Alicia and I are entirely of our own. So before talking about the book, I have to ask you, had you ever read a romance novel before reading Faking Miss Right?
I have. I'm not super familiar with the romance genre.
Okay.
But I have read Julie James has a series that's FBI agents and U.S. district attorneys falling in love.
Oh my god, that's so specific. Like, this is a series and there's multiple books in the series. In every book, is it an FBI agent and a U.S. attorney falling in love?
Sometimes it's like attorneys and attorneys falling in love, and sometimes it's FBI agents and FBI agents falling in love, but it's
always between FBI agents and U.S. attorneys.
Or sometimes it's like FBI agents and regular people.
Oh, how boring.
Yeah.
Gosh.
No, but it all takes place. It's all set in Chicago, and it's like, it'll be about one couple, and then the next book won't really have anything to do with the first one, but you'll hear like a mention of like
it's in the same
somebody's
sphere.
Boss. Like, the guy in the last book will be the boss of the character in the second one.
It's still the same world, the same characters, like
exactly.
living. Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm assuming the next books in this series are going to be, because I mean, Claire Kingsley set it up perfectly in this one, where you have an idea of like where the series will go. Yeah,
and you see glimpses of other people that you get the impression that they have their own business and life going on. And
Exactly. Okay, well that sounds good. Becky from Too Stupid to Live podcast, I hope you're listening. She is all about the FBI and like espionage romance. That is her fave.
People falling in love while solving crime.
Oh, okay. See, and you throw like some guns in the mix. I'm like, ooh,
I'm here for it. Sign me up.
Sex and violence, not together, but like.
I should preface this by saying like my favorite TV show of all time was Alias.
Okay, perfect.
So that if that like puts that into perspective for you.
Is that, like, who you picture when you think of, like, FBI agents, the people from Alias?
Kind of. I mean, they're CIA, but same different. Like,
yeah, whatever.
And in TV and media, TV and media treats them the same. They're all, like, you know. My,
like, go-to, like, FBI agent I think of is David Boreanaz from Bones.
Oh, yeah.
Booth. I'm just like, oh, that is, like, tasty treat. Like, if that is how all FBI agents
yeah, he's
looked.
a yummy fellow.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, media treats espionage and, like, FBI and CIA all kind of like they're the same thing. Everybody's, like, gun-toting, super charming.
They're either, like, super buff, super charming, or they're, like, the nerdy gamer girl, like, who
super hacker.
Yep. Yeah, it's always, like, she's got colorful hair.
Yeah, like that girl from NCIS.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never watched it, but I figure it's...
Criminal Minds, too. I'm just like, okay, you're, like, the sarcastic, witty, like, you dye your hair fun colors. Ha-ha, you hack things. I'm like... Okay. Just once I'd like to see something a little different, but, you know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Tropes and everybody, you know.
Yeah.
Checks off boxes.
Speaking of tropes, let's talk about romance.
Galore.
Okay, so you aren't completely unfamiliar with the genre, but this book, it's definitely, I'm going to assume, a step outside of, like, U.S. attorneys and FBI agents falling in love.
At the same time, I feel like a lot of romance novels kind of follow your basic, like, rom-com structure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just with, like, explicit sex scenes.
And this one absolutely does. Like,
100%.
When I was thinking about this one, I was like, this is, like, legit traditional, like, rom-com / kind of like a modern day fairy tale sort of thing.
A little
like,
bit,
I got elements of that for
like,
sure.
That, like, Prince Charming kind of.
Yeah. Like, but he's, like, you know, misunderstood or, you know, has angsty feelings.
Dark brooding hero.
Yeah.
Who's also a billionaire.
But then he takes his clothes off and he, like, you know.
And it doesn't
really
matter that he's brooding.
Like, great. Yeah, a grown-up fairy tale, I should
For real.
mention.
Yes, R-rated fairy tale.
So good. Before we get to our synopsis, let's take a break for a quick Podcoin promo. Podcoin is the app that pays you to listen to this podcast and all your other favorites. Just get the Podcoin app on iPhone or Android. It's free, super easy to use, and you can use the Podcoins you earn to claim gift cards or donate to charity. Check out the Podcoin app and use the invite code BoobsNoobs to earn 300 Podcoins just for signing up. And now, back to the boobylicious content. Let me give everyone a brief synopsis, and this comes from Amazon.com for Faking Miss Right. Everly Dalton is a walking, talking, martini-drinking, dating disaster. Oh, can we just stop there? I mean, like, how... You're in a committed relationship, though, and you've been with your partner for a long time.
Yes.
Okay, I connect with Everly on so many fucking levels. Like, I don't think I can say with certainty that I have not had the bad dating track record that she has had.
Yeah.
But if anybody out there listens to My Worst Date podcast, and if you don't, you should, you might go into reading this book and think, this can't happen. Like, these are all such ridiculous stories. Nah, that shit is real. Like, I listen to this podcast, and the stuff that people submit from their real stories about bad dates, it is insanity. Like, you just keep telling yourself, no, there's no way.
It's so
then
bad.
Another one happens. And then another one.
It's insane. Just stories I hear from my friends who are single and in the dating pool. I'm just like, oh my God.
Especially if you're on, like, Tinder or Bumble or, like, any of the apps. Like, I mean, it's...
I'm so glad I have a boyfriend.
Yeah, exactly. Seriously. Like, I have some friends who are with somebody and they've been with them, like, kind of since before the dawn of dating apps.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I feel like I missed out on this. I'm like, no, you did not. You didn't appreciate what you have. Never talk about Tinder again.
Yeah.
Like, the end. Anyway, back to Everly. Everly Dalton is a walking, talking, martini-drinking, dating disaster. Forget kissing frogs. She can't even get past the first date. But at work, she's a badass. The longest-running assistant billionaire Shepherd Calloway has ever had. We're going to have to talk about his name in a hot second.
We're going to have to talk about Shepherd in depth for
Absolutely. A minute. Her coworkers wonder how she handles the big bad wolf and never gets bit. I love romance novel synopses.
Also ironic, because as we find out in the book, she's the one who likes to do the biting.
Oh, yeah, she does. We get that multiple times. Shepherd Calloway isn't interested in being anyone's sugar daddy. Tired of women who only want him for his money, he swears off dating, determined to focus on running his empire, until his gold-digging ex hits him where it hurts, putting him in a difficult position. Yeah, she, sucks big time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's more on her. Svetlana.
I
mean, with a name like Svetlana, you know there's going to be trouble.
Oh, we have to get into that as well.
Oh, yeah. His solution, to have Everly pose as his live-in girlfriend, is obviously crazy. Yes, this is true.
Yes.
Accept that going into the book and you'll be fine. But the timing is uncanny. It just so happens Everly needs a favor from her boss, a big and awkward one.
Oh, man.
More on that to come. And this could ensure everyone gets what they want. Besides, Everly can totally survive a few months of faux romance, except there's a problem. Shepherd is supposed to be a single-minded, unemotional robot boss, not an actual human with a heart and morning wood.
Oh my god, wait.
Oh my god.
I missed that.
I missed that too. When I first read the synopsis, I was like, yeah, he's a robot. I totally missed the morning wood.
Oh man.
Between the awkward bed sharing and tingly fake dates, lines are blurring, and as Everly gets to know the real Shepherd, she discovers there's more to the man behind the bank account, and faking it gets all too real. Ah, yeah.
Boom, boom, chicka, wow, wow.
Yeah, no air horn this time?
No.
Bow, bow. I can't even do it. It sounds like an alarm's going off. This is why I don't do sound effects on this show. I just make, inappropriate, moaning noises. Okay, so let's start here. I knew from the cover that this would be a book that I would like. Just from, the art that's on the cover, I was like, this is the perfect blend of sexy, because it is a sexy cover. The girl's in a hot dress, the colors are really fun, and it's also silly, just the name, the title and everything. I was like, this is cute. I know that I'm gonna like this book. So going in, I already had a positive mindset, and I had read Claire Kingsley before, so I kind of knew her style. It definitely, I think I actually liked this one better than the book I read previously, The Book Boyfriend, which was also good, you know, but this one I did really like going in. One of the things that I'll tell everybody listening is that you don't have to do this, but Claire Kingsley did a really cute thing where she published a separate short novella called Everly Dalton's Dating Disasters, a Faking Mrs. Right prequel. And it's really cute. Her assistant was somebody that I talked to early on, and she had mentioned that if you're on Claire Kingsley's mailing list, her exclusive mailing list, she would send out these short stories about Everly and her dating disasters, with the intention of eventually then taking all of them and putting them into a little book.
That's such good marketing.
I know. I was like, oh my god, that's fucking brilliant. Why aren't more people doing this?
Because you have these small, digestible stories that, get people attached to your character.
And it gets you interested in not only the book, but, you're waiting for, what comes next. You're excited.
Yeah. And you're getting familiar with her writing style, so you know if you like it. And...
Yeah, exactly. And so I did not get them in the mailing list, but I did buy... Well, no, it's free. It's free. That's the other thing, is it's great. If you're I don't know if I want to commit to this $2.99 Kindle book, you can download the prequel Dating Disasters. I think it's 70 pages, super short. It's 5 or 6 short stories about bad dates that Everly has. And it all leads up to this book. And you don't have to read it. I actually read it after I had read Faking Miss Right. So it's not like you're going to miss any big plot points or anything by not reading it. But if you decide that you do want to give it a stab, I say totally go for it. I think it's super cute. I don't think she'll do the same with the other books in the series, because I don't think that the other girls that we meet have the same dating woes as Everly. But it's insane. This poor girl has had it rough with the dating. Do you remember some of the examples she gives when she talks about like the bad, the one that stood out to me, she tells about her bad dates was where, she had been in, this guy asked her out on a first date, and he surprises her by taking her to a wedding, and she didn't even know that's where they were going.
No, but it was a wedding like 2 hours away.
Yeah, like
so she had to get in the car with him
2 hours away to go to this wedding.
No.
Proceeds to get schmammered, like, and then he and this girl that he meets at the wedding invite her to have a threesome with
one
them.
of the bridesmaids.
Yes. And she's like, no thanks. And she basically gets a ride home from somebody that like
the bride's relatives or
like
something.
the family that's staying there. And that was cute though, because what I liked about Everly is that she clearly has had these disastrous encounters, but she's such a nice, lovable person that she befriends everyone she meets.
Oh yeah, and we were talking about fairy tales before, and she does. Yes. She's got a Cinderella air about her, of like like I believe birds, like cartoon birds, were braiding her hair before this.
For real, chipmunks are like her best,
cleaning her bathroom and like
it's totally for. I mean, because you see it with her talking about these stories, but also at work, she's got like her work buddy, everybody's like,
oh yeah.
But she can also like be tough because she's been this guy's assistant, and I don't want to say he's mean or he's a dick or anything like that. He's just is very
terse.
Yes. Good word. Ooh, word of the day. Love that. You know what? The spelling bee championship was on TV earlier tonight, so that would have been a good word.
I'm trying to think if I know how to spell terse.
I feel like it's Terse. It's like
pretty
ER?
Sure. Yeah.
Not UR? ER.
It's ER, but I'm pretty sure that's right.
Could you please use it in a sentence?
Shepherd Calloway was terse with Everly.
That's a good one. Perfect. There's your spelling word of the day, children. I hope no children are listening, but if they are, they're learning. And so she can be tough. She's good at her job. She's really friendly. I like, it was just a small mention, but she basically becomes like friends and on a first name basis with the guys that like help move her furniture. And
like immediately.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I feel like a lot of people know that person where you're just like, God, you don't even have to try, do you? You just like walk into a room like everyone's hooked on you.
I have a friend from high school who's got that like very disarming air about her and like can just kind of convince you to do anything. Yeah,
no, and it's true. And she's super sweet. And so you're kind of like, okay, well, what's wrong with you? Like why are all these first dates, not going well? Because I have to wonder, I'm like, if all these guys, that you're dating, you're failing with on the first date, I'm like, the thing they have in common is you. Yeah. So I'm just like, what is it? Like, and it's not a negative thing I have about the book, but she didn't really have like much of an arc, like in terms of like a growing story, which
no, that's true.
It's not something that I necessarily see as a negative thing. It was different to me. Like, I feel like we focused a lot more on Shepherd having this story arc or character arc, I should say, than we did with Everly. Like, Everly was pretty straight up from like day one. Like, the only thing that like basically leads to their fight later on is she's hiding like this small secret, but it's not even really about her. Yeah. So again, it's very light on her side of the table. Yeah. Like, and it's not bad. It's just different for me.
Yeah, most of her story is just sort of like this idea of accepting that maybe she can't please everybody all the time. Yeah, exactly. Which for her is like the big challenge because she is like this sunny.
Right. It's just natural. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that's something just to know when you go into it, is it's still really her story. Like, I feel like a lot of it focuses much more on her than it does him, but that's not to say that he's not present. You're getting the dual narrative between the two of them, which is great.
Well, and I think it just kind of speaks to the type of book it is as a whole. Yeah, absolutely. Because it's definitely coming from this place of, like, wish fulfillment. Mm-hmm. Like, even the cover, you were saying, like, you don't see anybody's heads.
No. Just their hot bags.
Yeah, and so it's kind of this idea of, like, this could be anybody, like, this could be me.
Yeah. I wish that could be me.
Well, everybody wishes, like, that being really good at their job would land them, like, a billionaire boyfriend.
Oh, I just mean that girl on the cover, man. She was hot. I'm like, girl, you rocking them high heels.
I know, she had killer shoes.
Sexy little black dress.
I could never walk in those shoes.
No. Models were, like, an A+ on the cover of this book.
For sure.
But no, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's definitely like, it's funny because, you know, in romance, there's obviously like a lot of different subgenres. You know, there's billionaire romance and motorcycle romance, paranormal, like, you know, a little bit of everything. This one is cute because you definitely have like the billionaire aspect, but then secret twist later on, he also plays guitar.
He's a rock star billionaire.
Oh, I was like, shit, sign me up. Because I'm not going to lie, I love a good billionaire romance. I love a good rock star romance. This guy is by no means a rock star, but I was like, the fact that not only he has enough money to dump someone and then send them on a fucking week-long trip to Hawaii, but he also plays guitar in like shitty dive bars. Like, yeah. Oh my God, like, does it get better than that? I don't think so.
I mean, there's very few things sexier than, like, playing an instrument.
So good. So good. Although he plays bass, which I'm like...
I don't care. I've never had any musical talent whatsoever.
So
like,
it's amazing.
My boyfriend plays the tuba, and I've never actually seen him play, but I'm like, I would like to see you play the tuba at some point.
That is the hottest thing, babe. Like, when you play tuba...
I'm into musical talent. Doesn't matter.
No, it's true. I'm with you. I never learned to play anything, so...
I couldn't play the recorder in the 3rd grade. Like,
I mean, I could play, like, hot cross buns.
Zero musical talent.
Man, yeah, so it sounds like you would have us if you played, like, the triangle. Like, that would be enough.
Yeah.
So, Alicia and I are sold.
If you can read music, that's like, yeah.
Yeah. What did you think about our other characters in this book? Because there's what I always look for in not just romance, but, like, really in any story I read. Movies is a little different because you have an actor. You get to see this person a specific way. In books, I want to see a differentiation between all the characters. Like, yeah. I feel like it's so important. Like, and especially when we were working in development together, we would read books and scripts, and, you know, too often characters, you can't really tell them apart. Like, by the way they talk and the things they do.
Yeah, and that's a note that you give a lot in script coverage when you're writing summaries of screenplays that you've seen, is like, I'm not getting individual voices from things. And I think this did a really good job of kind of...
I did too.
Different, like, it... And again, it comes back to that idea of, like, it's a fairy tale and wish fulfillment. Yeah. Like, a lot of the sub-characters are archetypes. Like, we don't spend a lot of time with them. They're really there to just, like, be a specific type of personality to push Everly along. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because they're accomplishing what they need to do in the story to, like...
I mean, I think this is one of those stories where, like, the sub-characters that are there, they're great. You could have written this book and it just be Shepherd, Everly, and then her 2 best friends, who are clearly going to be the protagonists in the upcoming books in this series, Nora and Hazel. Like, the 3 girls clearly have this incredible chemistry together, and they're so differentiated. Like, they each have such a unique voice, which is lovely. I love that.
Hazel being the super nerdy one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she does something with research, like some sort of scientist.
She's a scientist, and there's another researcher who she hates his guts and hates his research.
I think he's going to be her love interest.
Yeah, I think Hazel's destined for him.
He's either going to be her love interest, or it's going to be like they're enemies, and then like they're competing against each other or something. Like,
yes, but then they have to work together. Yeah. They get a grant together or something.
Enemies to lovers.
Bum, bum, bum.
Okay, what was that? That
was a dramatic stab.
Okay. Instead of ball chicka ball ball and do air horn again.
I just make a lot of noises.
No, I love it. This is like the most sound effects that we've ever had in an episode. So
no.
It's great. I love it.
You need to like download stock noises to play over my like ridiculous.
Or you should just record them and I can just insert them into future episodes. Like, cue air horn. Done. Perfect. Like, I've got it. It is on tape now. So that is that.
Oh no.
Yeah, so that's Hazel. And then the other one is Nora. And Nora is like the feisty... like, sex pod.
Yeah, she's the sexually free and like take life by the horns.
Oh chick. Yeah, she's great. She just encourages everyone to be fucking everyone. Like I loved her, and
she's like, be free and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, and she's the friend that I know I wish I had, because she like will come over at a moment's notice and style you to perfection.
Yes.
Like, she's like, I'll bring shoes. We're the same size. Wow, that worked out well.
Yeah.
And I've got the perfect outfit. I'll do your makeup. Like, because isn't it they all live in the same building too?
Yeah, they're like cute. Childhood best friends who then live in the same like high rise together.
Yeah, it's cute. It's cute. You know, it's again, very fairy tale. I'm like, oh, and we all grew up together and we all lived together in the same building.
Well, she's like the fairy godmother of this. Like,
yes,
you know, at a press of a button, she's like popping into Everly's apartment to
That's great.
get her
I wish
ready.
I could do that. I need like the stylish friend for hire. Like if that's a thing, I would totally dial a style.
Dial a style.
Dial a style. That's pretty good.
We should just create an app for that.
Oof, there's an app for that. There probably is.
There probably is already. And in LA, I'm sure we can find one.
Yeah, and if not, you just go knock on someone's door in like West Hollywood and you're set. Like that's enough. But yeah, no, she and her friends are great. They have their little it's so silly. They have their little like martini club. I forget what they call it. It's cute. It's like the martini gals or something. But they go and they have fucking martinis right after they go jogging together. And I was like, oh my God, what? Like, this is a terrible idea. Like, I'm like, why would you do that? Like,
I'm like, you need to hydrate before you have martinis.
Oh, they're hydrating. They're just knocking them back one after another. Like,
you've been running. You need actual water.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, I thought that's like in the first or second chapter. And I was like, wait a second.
Yeah. You
just ran and you're going to go drink martinis?
Again, the life everyone would like.
Yeah, Again. No, perfect. I mean, it really is. This is one of those stories where, you know, we've read a variety of romance novels on this podcast, and some of them are very realistic. Like, it could be a story about you or me, like, which I love. I do. And then some of them, you definitely have to suspend your disbelief a little bit more because you're like, this is a fantasy. This is not, you know, every day. This, you know, is the fantasy. And this, I think, would definitely fall more into the fantasy category for me. Like,
oh, for sure.
They're clearly, you know, real people. Like, you're like, it's not like I can't connect with any of these people.
No, but everything is so heightened.
And you know what? I think it is with intention. Like, maybe that's why I really did enjoy it, because I feel like I can also get lost in the fantasy and be like, lost in a bad way. Like, lost in like, oh my gosh, this is so unrealistic, you know?
Yeah.
But there was, from the very beginning, when they talked about all the bad dates Everly had, I mean, they mentioned multiple times, like, I know this sounds ridiculous, but this happened.
Yeah.
Like, this is, you know, how she is. She's got bad luck, you know, bad destiny, you know, and I was like, okay, so this is what I'm buying into, is that this really is a world where, you know, there's these incredible coincidences that happen a lot in the story.
A lot. But it's the kind of thing where because she makes Everly so relatable, it's okay. Yeah. Because you're relating to her, everything else can be kind of insane.
You can be like, oh, okay. Which
we need to talk about the sort of plot and the crux of this, because reading the first couple chapters, like, I wasn't super into it. Like, I kind of felt like I knew
it takes a little bit to get into it, for sure.
I kind of felt like I knew where everything was going, and I was like, okay, I know this story. And then there's a particular element, which we will get into.
Takes a big twist.
That was such a sharp left into Crazyville that I was like, yes.
Okay,
I'm here for this.
I'm gonna guess where this point was for you. So, I'm with you. Like, for me, I was like, okay, she works for this guy. He's this stunning billionaire who doesn't really notice her as anything besides his assistant. I'm like, fine. So I was like, okay, there has to be the moment where he notices her as like a woman, right? Yes. It's coming. So then basically his dad gets like this slew of shit dumped on him, where he not only like has these bad investment deals and like loses all his money, but he also finds out he has cancer. And spoiler alert, he's okay. Yeah. And he goes on vacation, you know, to like ease the pain. Yeah. And
for a property that he owns but is now like losing because of his bad investments.
He's like saying goodbye to like his Hawaiian property. And he meets Svetlana. And Svetlana is there because Shepherd just dumped her, and basically his like go-to when he dumps women is to like send them on vacation. Which I'm just like, that gives you an indication of how rich this man is.
Yes.
Like, he pays for like a 10-day vacation for her to go, and Everly knows, she's like, oh, okay, yeah, he's dumping her. Like, that's part of the plan. And so Richard, his father, comes back with Svetlana, and he's like, hey, I'm out of money, I have cancer, and instead of telling his dad, yo, you're dating my ex-girlfriend, he's like, move in with me for a little bit. Like, live with me, I'll take care of you, you know, it'll be okay. And so I'm like, okay, this is going to be a problem. This is going to be a problem, I can already tell, you know. So then our darling Shepherd has the idea that he has to somehow convince them he has a girlfriend. And I think at first it's just kind of like this will just be like a one-time thing. So he invites Everly to come pose as his girlfriend at an event with him.
He kind of commands her.
Yeah, he's like, you need to be here, you need to like he's like, look sexy. That's one of his instructions, look sexy. And she's like, okay, and shows up. And
calls her fairy godmother, Nora.
It was very like, you know what it reminded me of was like, Devil Wears Prada meets The Proposal.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like the assistant where it's like, they just show up. Like, they're like, I'm not going to ask questions. I'm just going to be there. Like, this is part of my job. And so she shows up looking all hot. And that's when he's like, damn, she looks good. Like, I'd never thought of her this way. And I'm like, oh, okay. So then the crazy turn that I think you're talking about is when not only is she supposed to continue to pose to be his girlfriend, which I'm all for a fake romance story.
Yeah.
She has to move in to the apartment and live with him in his bedroom and share a bed with him.
To specifically ward off Svetlana, who's now going to be at the apartment all of the time because she's with his father and he's invited his father to live with him. And he doesn't have the heart to tell his father, who's just lost all his money and is suffering from cancer, that his girlfriend is just a gold-digging harpy.
It's a lot of shit layered on top of more shit.
Surprisingly, not the twist I was talking about.
Oh my god! Okay, so now I'm trying to think. Okay. Oh, okay.
You got it?
Sperm.
The sperm.
Gotta be the sperm.
It is the sperm.
Okay, no, I'm with you in that.
Well, let's explain to the audience the sperm twist.
Yeah, okay, so basically where the sperm comes into play is, I'm trying to even figure out where to start with this.
So essentially, Everly's sister, Annie, is married to a woman named Miranda, and they have decided that they would like to start a family.
Yes.
And now, before Shepherd asks Everly to come pose as his girlfriend...
Oh, yeah, that's right. It is very early.
Yeah. Annie says to Everly, we have found the perfect sperm donor.
P.S. It's your
Shepherd
boss.
Calloway. Can you casually bring this up to him and ask him if he will donate his sperm, because he's like this chiseled from marble, gorgeous billionaire, and his genes are so perfect, we can't possibly ask anyone else.
We can't get
We're gonna put you
else
in this super, super awkward position.
And here's my thing is, I don't know why I was so willing to go along with this in this book. Like, you're right, it's absolutely outrageous.
It's like if you worked for Jeff Bezos, and imagine Jeff Bezos was like hotter, but like, you know what I mean?
Why pick him? That was just because he's just like a selection.
Well, because in this story, Shepherd is this man who like he's like this titan of industry that like everybody knows who he is. Like he's very like page 6.
Yeah.
Like big time guy.
Jeff Bezos, but hot. Great.
And then your sister says to you, so can you ask your boss for his sperm for me?
Thank God I'm an only child. Like, that's all I can say. But yeah, no,
that's the equivalent to what's happening in the scenario.
But it's so funny because like we've talked about it, like this book really does heighten traditional romance novel tropes. Like, I've seen all this. I've seen the asking somebody to pretend to be your fake girlfriend, but he asks her to move in and live with him in his bedroom and sleep
she
in his
says
bed.
yes because she wants him to give her sister his sperm.
Well, okay, so that was the one thing where I was like a little wishy-washy on, was I was like, I don't know if she actually had an intention of asking him. Like, because from the very beginning, when Annie and Miranda ask Everly, like, yo, get this guy's sperm for us.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, no, that's weird. Like, why? Like,
she has the reaction that a normal person would have.
A normal human would respond, and she's like, I don't really know him, besides being his assistant. 2, why would you ask somebody that like that, And so her sister is like, oh, we've drawn up, like, they've had like a contract made and everything. And I kept wondering if that was going to come into play because, after a good, like, maybe, like, not even half the book, I feel like, Everly basically makes this concrete decision, like, I didn't want to ask him before, I'm for sure not going to ask him now. Oh, yeah,
but no, the second that Annie hands her those papers, I was like,
problem.
Check off sperm contract.
Well, and so we went a while, though, without it being mentioned again. Like, it wasn't mentioned. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I thought that was going to be the issue. Oh, yeah. Like, and then it was. Like, I mean, that ends up being, like, their little breakup moment is he finds the contract in her desk and assumes the worst, that, like, she's basically been playing him like all his other girlfriends who just want the money.
Yeah.
And, that's their little...
Even though the contract, like, explicitly says, like, they don't want any, like, childcare or money from you. They literally just want your, like, baby juice.
Right. But it's still... I mean, and he makes such a big deal out of being, like, the reason I can't open myself up is, like... He's worried he's a lot like his mom and that she just, like, was like a gold-digging hoe. So
Shepherd is, like, super traumatized from his parents' divorce.
Yeah.
His mom leaving his father very, like, unceremoniously.
Right.
And I had my note for this whole thing was, Shepherd Calloway is what Bruce Wayne would have become if his parents got divorced instead of murdered.
Oh, my God. That's really funny.
Because I think there's one part where Nora even makes a joke about him, like, fighting crime at night or something like that, where they're having drinks and she says something to that extent. And I was like, 100%.
There were some excellent pop culture references made in this book. I was very pleased. But, I like that. That's a good,
because he's just, like, this dark and brooding, like,
don't look at me.
I can't trust anybody but myself. And, like,
Batman.
Yeah, he's totally Batman. Just not as, like, scarred.
Right.
Just insecure.
No, and it's true. And, he's like, I've had this long line of I mean, even Everly, who's worked as his assistant for 3 years, like, she knows his system. She's like, he dates these women who are bimbos. Like, they're clearly not interested in him. They're just in it for the money. He takes them to dinner, gives them a ticket to Hawaii, and then, like, sends them on their way. Like, she knows the system. He knows the system. Like, he knows what's going on. So, so that was, like, their little breakup moment, moment of despair. Mm-hmm. You might
Dark Night of the Soul, as they say in screenwriting.
Dark Night. Whoa. Batman. It's true. And, the sperm thing,
That was the point at which I was like, oh, I didn't see where this was
going. Yeah, no, for sure. You're right, though. It gets a little bigger. It's like, ask him for his sperm. Whoa. Move in with him. Whoa. Sleep in the same bed. Holy shit.
Like, and the whole time she's just like, this is fine. This is a totally okay thing to happen.
I guess I was okay with it because of the whole idea that she is, like, so willing to make, like, everyone happy and, like, please them. I'm like, okay, like, you're really going to full extent here. Like, you're willing to ask your boss to give up sperm. You're willing to move in and pretend to be his girlfriend and sleep in the same bed as him. Like, I mean, it was, she was going all out, So you're right. It's very heightened reality. It's not reality at all,
But it's also that idea of, there's a macabre, analogy that they use in screenwriting, which is boiling the frog.
Yeah.
It's this idea where if you put a frog if you try and put a frog in a pot of boiling water, it's going to jump out. It's not going to want to be in the hot water.
Right.
But if you put a frog in regular water and then turn the heat on it
a little bit,
the frog will just more. Like sit in there and let itself get boiled.
Yeah.
And it relates to screenwriting in this idea. If you try and chuck your audience into a world that's heightened, they're not going to take to it right away. But if you slowly amp up the crazy in increments, they just kind of find themselves going along with it.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's exactly how I felt reading this book.
Oh, 100%.
I was like, okay. Like, and I'm like, how am I believing that this girl's, like, gonna ask for sperm? Like, oh wait, it's fine. Like,
now she's pretending to be his girlfriend, now she's living with him. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of things boiling over, we have to talk about some of the sexy content of the book, because those feelings boil until they explode.
Yeah.
And when they do, damn. Like, it's so funny because you know what? I didn't expect it to get as hot as it did.
Yeah.
I for sure was like, oh, this is going to be like a cute, fun, you know, like, of course, I'm like still expecting like a little bit of raunch, you know, but oh, damn. Like,
I gotta say, the stuff that happens in the car.
Oh my god!
After he invites her to like see his rock show,
so fucking hot. I
have to say, like, of the like love scenes in this book,
you didn't like it?
No. I was gonna say that's the one that I hadn't seen anything. Yeah. I hadn't read anything like that before.
I definitely haven't seen. Well, just to like brief everyone on this, and we'll give you a few excerpts, you know, as we normally do, but. This one was when they first have their first like little hookup moment. He opens himself up to tell her and will show her basically that he plays guitar. It's like something he never shares with anybody else, is that he plays guitar. Not only does he play guitar, he has a whole fucking separate apartment in his building for his guitar collection. Yeah. Which again just shows you how rich this man is. Yes. But
he's got a secret guitar condo.
Yeah, like a whole condo, just guitars. And so after she watches him play at this like seedy little bar, they start making out because she's like, damn, he hot. Yeah. You know, hotter than he was. And he takes her.
And he's already totes in love with her at this point.
Oh, yeah. They're like, they just want to admit it. I think that's actually when she does admit to herself, like, I've fallen in love with him. Is after she sees him play guitar. But they go out back, get in the car, and I'm like, okay, we're going to have some car sex. Great. Or like at least like a good car BJ or something, right? And it was very interesting. Like, they basically, like, strip off their bottom half. Yeah. And he straight up is like, no, I don't have a condom. And she's like, and then you still think, like, oh, maybe they'll do it anyway. And he's like, do you want me to? And instead, they just, like, grind on each other, like, dry humping. But
without clothes on.
Yeah, and she talks about it with her friends. And they're like, so you dry hump? She's like, well, no. Like, I was like, you know, on him and like we weren't wearing underwear. Like it was like on each other. He just wasn't in me. And they're like, so you wet humped. Yeah. Like, and I was like, wow, okay, this is something I'm adding to my vocabulary immediately. But yeah, it was hot. I was like, this is not what I'm usually reading.
Traditional, like.
Yeah. I thought it was even hotter than like traditional sex. Well, like I was like, wow, ooh, yeah. Like you really want each other, but you like won't.
Yeah, you know, it was a little kinkier than like typical romance novel fare.
Yeah, well, and kinky, we find out that she's like for sure into biting and like scratching. Yeah, he's for sure into taking it too. Like, oh yeah, she scratches up his back.
Well, he doesn't even really like notice. He's like so like in the throes of passion, and then the next day though, he's kind of like into her like possessiveness.
Ooh, look at these scratch marks on me. Yeah,
he's like, oh, did you bite me? Okay.
Yeah, so the sexy content I thought was pretty good for sure. Yeah. It was in a good mix, a good variety. I mean, they have I was like, if there's ever an office romance, there has to be an office sex scene.
100%. Like desk sex.
Yeah, for sure. I'm like, if you're not banging on a desk, like, what are you doing? Working? Come on. Yeah. Like, it's a romance novel. Get over it. And there for sure is some office sex, so that's always good.
I also liked how, like, unapologetically evil they make Svetlana.
Yeah, she's just like a straight up bitch.
She's just the worst. And so the reason I was laughing earlier about the name Svetlana, so when I was in high school, during the Olympics, there was a gymnast, I think she was from Russia.
Probably.
Named Svetlana Horkina.
Ooh, good name.
And she just had this like super like...
resting bitch face.
Hard RBF.
That's a Russian thing. Russian bitch face. Yeah. There you go.
Just real hard. And like... me and my friends, for whatever reason, just took to, like, really disliking her. And if there was someone, or, like, a girl that we didn't like or we thought was being rude or a bully, we would call her Svetlana.
Yes. Like, oh, she's such a Svetlana.
Just
no
total
offense
Svetlana.
to the Svetlanas out there. Like, I'm sure you're lovely. Yes. But...
and to be fair, I don't know that this gymnast actually was a bitch. She just had super RBF.
Face. Yeah. It's an Eastern European thing. Like, I have a friend from Poland. She's like, oh, no, that's just how we look. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, so you're not upset. She's like, no. We're just used to being cold. Like, I'm like, oh, okay.
And, like, for her, she had very sharp features, so I feel like it
doesn't help.
It's always more pronounced, you know, and you got cheekbones that can cut glass, and you just look like you want to murder someone.
Whatever, they look like supermodels too, so I don't feel bad about it at all. Gosh. But no, you're right. I mean, and you know what? I was satisfied with like that storyline because I feel like when there's like the ex or, you know, whoever is getting in the way of the couple or something, they can be like so over the top in some stories, and like they'll go out of their way to like we read one recently where the ex was like sending you know, pictures to like the new girl and like trying to prove that he was cheating on her and all that. I'm just like, you're going out of your way to be awful. Like, at least with Svetlana, she was just like, you know, fucking her ex-boyfriend's dad. I'm like, oh. Well,
I don't even know. I think they even pose in the story that they're not actually sleeping together because he's sick and old and like,
she's like pretending to like, you know, be his companion and everything. Like, and then, you know, she goes after Shepherd again for one moment, and the dad walks in, and you're like, oh no, like this is gonna hurt their relationship.
The dad takes it really well.
The dad is fantastic.
Richard is a champ.
Richard was one of my favorite characters in the story.
He's well, because he's also a total. I've ever heard the phrase "shipper on deck."
Yes,
he's a total shipper on deck. He just
so good.
He wants Everly and Shepherd together so badly.
He's so on board with it. I mean, he throws them a party. Like, I love, that's one of my favorite parts is Richard, Shepherd's dad, loves to throw parties. Like, they talk about how when Shepherd and his brother Ethan were kids, like, his dad hired like a boy band for Ethan's party, and he had fireworks for Shepherd's party, and so he plans them an engagement party, and then afterwards, eventually Shepherd tells him the truth, like, no, we're not really together, and the dad's just like, no, you love her, get over it, but you know what, when you do actually get engaged, I'll throw you another party. Like, he's just so
here for it.
Yeah, like, I loved that, but yeah, he was cute.
Which I also thought that was a nice change, because I feel like in these kind of stories, you're used to, like, the parents of the rich person being very against them being with, like, the normo.
Yeah, exactly, because it'll be like, oh, she's so beneath us. Yeah. Like, she's not of our class.
Yeah.
So British.
She's a lesser breed, but...
Yeah, exactly.
But no, his dad's just like, she's great, marry her.
Yeah. He's like, you already love her, so what's the problem? Yeah. Like, get over yourself.
His dad's such a, like, even though he was, like... His dad seems to be constantly looking for love in all the wrong places.
Yeah, okay, so this is something, again, that there's not a lot that I disliked about this book, and as long as you can buy into the fantasy elements of it, you'll be fine.
Yes. I
have a personal problem with coincidences, and this is probably because from every screenwriting class I've ever taken, they've told me you can get away with one.
Yeah.
You can't get away with two. Like, and there are a lot of coincidences in this story. And I think that plays into the heightened reality and like the fantasy element of it. But the fact that not only you have Everly and Shepherd, who are basically having the same problem. Like, I mean, even in the beginning, you have like a chapter of her and a chapter of him, and they each end with them being like, I'm not going to date anybody anymore. Like, I'm going to take a dating break. And I'm like, oh, so you're both in exactly the same place? Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Okay.
Then Shepherd's dad also is like, yeah, you know what? I should take a break from dating too. Like, Svetlana was bad for me. And then it's the age-old story of, you know, when you're not looking for love, love finds you.
Hooray!
So coincidence 1 is everybody's in the exact same place dating-wise. Coincidence 2, everybody has a gay sibling.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Everly has her lesbian sister and sister-in-law.
Yes.
And then Shepherd has his gay brother and brother-in-law.
Yep, Ethan and his partner Grant.
Yeah, and I totally guessed early on that Ethan was gonna father the child for Annie and Miranda.
I didn't see that coming.
I did, because they both mentioned babies.
Yeah.
Like, they both were like, Grant and Ethan were like, yeah, you know, Ethan really wants a baby, but like, I don't know. And then Annie and Miranda are like, you know, so hot after Shepherd's dick that I'm like, or his sperm. Let's be
specifically sperm. They don't want his dick.
No.
That's not how they roll.
Yeah, that they're like, we have to have him. I'm like, well, Ethan's going to be a suitable substitution. Like, so I was like, this is a match made in heaven.
I'm ashamed to see I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I just read too many of them.
How awkward is that Thanksgiving going to be?
Right? Well, it's cute. It's like the little, like, blended family, you know? Where, like, everybody has everybody's babies. Like, I was like, that's cute. But I was like, really? Everyone has a gay sibling. Like, I was like, okay, like,
I'm here for inclusion, but it's very convenient.
Absolutely. I feel like there was one other one.
I did also like, I will say, I did like that none of the gay characters were stereotypes.
Well, and none of them are murdered or die in unfortunate ways.
Yeah.
These are things I never want to see for queer characters ever again.
Yeah. I got really worried about Ethan because they have him, like, he's got a peanut allergy and there's a whole... Yeah. Basically, the scene where Everly and Shepherd first kiss is shortly after.
Yeah.
She has run to his side to be with him at the hospital because he found out his brother was, like, rushed to the ER because he... came in contact with peanuts at a restaurant.
She was there for him, even though she didn't even know his brother.
They fell in love, but I was like, really? Ethan's what you have to torture in this situation? His father's undergoing...
cancer!
Yeah, his father has a reason to be in the hospital and have an emergency, but you're gonna fabricate, like, sending poor Ethan to the hospital?
That's a good point. We already have one character who's sick.
Yeah.
But, that's...
That was another part that I was like, really?
A lot of coincidences for me. A lot of, like, similarities and crossover where I'm like, and you know what? Part of me is like, okay, I do like seeing that they're both in similar situations because, you know, he's this billionaire entrepreneur, like, so famous, and she's an assistant, like, you know, and they both have the same issue. Like, I do like seeing that, too, to just kind of, like, see where no matter who you are, like, we all kind of face, like, the same problems.
Yeah.
So I definitely get that for sure. But, it's something that irks me. Like, I'm sure anybody else will be like, who cares? Lots of gay characters. Yay! Like, I hate to be, like, you know, bashing the fact that there's more than one gay person in this book. That is not my intention at all.
Yeah.
Happy Pride Month, everybody.
Yeah, and I guess there's an argument to be made to say that, like, you're seeing, like, the parallel between...
Yes, exactly. And I think that's the intention.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's the intention.
That's 100%.
And I'm just like, they're all, you know, happy and all...
it's a little too neat.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think one of my things is, and we've talked about this in previous episodes, is I like to see people having different struggles and that they help each other grow from that, as opposed to having, like, the same, like, oh, we both have a problem with our families, like, so we both have to help. And I'm like, look, can't she have a family thing and you have a work thing? Like, do we have to be exactly the same, you know? And it wasn't like that. It wasn't like they were both trying to overcome the same thing. Like, she didn't really have that much
to overcome
in general, and he had a lot of, like, internal struggle going on for sure.
Yeah.
I did like that there wasn't some huge external struggle like, oh no, we went bankrupt, or, like, you know, there wasn't like some...
They kind of, like, give you, like, they kind of put you on that roller coaster with Richard, but then it's like, but he's okay.
Yeah, and he's fine, and, you know, and there's the whole, like, the fake dating thing, I guess, is pretty much the external struggle, and that they, you know, fall in love with each other and everything,
But even when that blows up, it doesn't blow up
in
so
fact,
much that you're, like, horrified.
It goes so well for so long. Like, I mean, everything is going great. Like, they're not even really having these fighting moments or, like, him pulling back from her. Like, it really is progressing wonderfully up until he finds the document. And then this was the one other thing that was a little odd to me in the book. I won't say I didn't like it. It just felt kind of out of place, was... later on in the story, like, we're beyond the halfway point at this point, where Everly gets an email from basically a recruiter saying, hey, we think you'd be great for this position with this, like, billionaire badass woman who, like, wants to start this foundation. And I was like, well, that's cool. Wait a second. Was she unhappy in her job? Like, that was something that was, like, surprising to me, just because it didn't seem like we set that up early on, that she was unhappy
that
or
she wanted
felt
to
unfulfilled.
Move up, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's mentioned maybe in, like, a sentence or two where she's like, you know, I've survived the longest at this position.
Yeah.
I'm great at it. You know, I didn't really see myself here, but, you know, I really do like my job. So it just kind of surprised me, where I was like, I didn't realize this was going to be your story in the second half.
Well, I also, like, it makes sense from a point where I wish that they had hit a little bit harder on the idea, I keep saying they. I'm used to talking about movies. I wish that she had hit a little bit harder on the idea of now that Everly and Shepherd are together, that maybe they shouldn't necessarily be working with each other anymore.
Right, exactly. But that was never really part of the discussion.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that would be too. Like, that they were, because she goes to him to say, right before they have hot office sex, like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, I have been offered this interview for this job. Like, do you think I should take it? And he's like, yeah, go. Why not? Like, you should go for it. And that was never part of the conversation, was like, you know, maybe I shouldn't work here if we're going to keep doing
now
this.
That we're sleeping together, maybe it's not great if I'm your assistant.
Yeah, and then the job thing becomes so much bigger later on, because she, like, flies to Florida to go interview, and he thinks she's moving to Florida if she gets it, and he gets on a plane and goes after her, and you're like, wow, this is not where I saw this going. But I mean, okay.
That was one of my favorite parts, is when Nora and Hazel show up at Shepherd's office to pull his head out of his ass.
Yes.
And then Nora's like, wait for it. And he's like, I have to get to Florida. And she's like, there it is.
It was such a guy moment. Like, it was such a guy. I feel like any woman, any heterosexual woman reading that scene where they're like, yo, you need to get on a plane and, like, go get this girl. And he's just like, oh, I need to get on a plane and go get this girl. Thank you. Like, I can see any woman reading this scene being like, oh my God, this is such dude logic. Like, it took him like
100%.
an hour longer, you know, after them talking to him to like actually realize it, you know. It made perfect sense.
But I did like the cherry on the sundae of, in order to get to Florida, he calls like the private jet guy that Everly always books. Yeah. And the guy's like, I mean, this is super short notice, but because it's for Everly.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I don't know. Well, I have to go tell Everly I love her. Oh, I love Everly. Yeah, hop on my plane. Yeah. Like,
and it's just like Shepherd being like, oh, maybe if I'm nice to people, like,
right?
I can get I can get more things
done. And you
done.
start smiling and laughing, and people like him more. I'm like, oh, go figure. Like,
I do like the first time he says good morning to her, like good morning back to her in the office, everybody stops.
They're just like, what is going on with this monster? Yeah, and he wasn't a monster. He just was very Miranda Priestley in that it's just like you go in and you go out. Like, you don't make eye contact, don't look at him, you know, like you don't well, and they even mentioned, they're like, when she helps him hire her replacement, and she's like, I knew who we should hire because she actually like could make eye contact with you and not cry. Yeah. So that was cute. But I think we've gotten through a lot of good stuff here. Like, I mean, I feel like overall it's safe to say we both enjoyed the story. Do you think, before we get into the sexy bits, do you think you're going to read the rest of the series?
Possibly. This isn't like super my genre, but
fair enough.
But I like this enough that
maybe if there's like a murder mystery element in Nora's book, then you'll be in.
To put it in perspective, like, this book costs $2.99. Like, that's less than a cup of coffee.
Such a deal. This is one where, like, if I saw it in a bookstore, I would probably even buy the paperback, like, for like the, you know, $7 price, like, shit, you know. But no, I think I would, like, again, and just based off of the front cover, like, I'd be probably hooked on this one. This is my style. I do like the contemporary romance. It's a little more fairy tale-ish than my typical fare, but
I definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too. I love the girls. I love the three girls.
Yeah, I honestly, if the next one is about Hazel and that scientist that she hates, I'd probably give that a go.
Sign on board with that one.
Yeah.
I'm curious
because I love a good they hate each other but they really love each other story.
Yeah. And I'm curious. I want to know who Nora will end up with.
Who can tame Nora?
Because you know what? What's interesting about this one that's different than a lot of stories I've read where they're like setting up characters for multiple books is usually I feel like in a lot of those stories it'll end with like kind of a preview of the next one, or it'll like you'll meet characters, like you'll meet 3 guys and 3 girls and you'll be like, oh, okay, it's gonna be about them and them, you know?
Yeah.
This one you really don't meet any potential suitors. Like the only reason we think it could be that other scientist guy is that Hazel says something about, oh, that guy's like my nemesis. You know,
like, he's like another man that's like mentioned passionately, even if it's hatred. But
yeah, and I don't remember Nora mentioning anybody or us seeing any other suitors. You know, so I really am like kind of like, oh my god, like who could it be?
I know.
Like I'm so curious. So
I think Nora mentions it like dumping a guy as like.
Exactly. So, I mean, I'm hooked just in terms of, like, I want to know who Nora and Hazel do end up with. And I'm sure Everly will become... They'll have the same conversations that they had with Everly of trying to push her towards somebody. Yeah. She'll be part of it, of pushing them towards somebody, too. Sure. So, something to look forward to.
She'll be there with her moral support and sunny disposition.
Yes. And martinis.
Post-running martinis.
Running. That is vomit waiting to happen.
Two things I really don't like.
Right?
Running and martini. So,
for real.
Fun story. My first, like, time hanging out with my boyfriend before we were actually, like, dating.
Yeah.
I call it, like, a pre-date.
Okay.
We were watching the Bond movie, The Spy Who Loved Me, at his apartment, and he made me a dry-ass martini.
Very 007.
Super dry.
Shaken, not stirred.
Super gross. And I drank it because I wanted him to like me. And I told him this...
things we do for love.
I told him this story a few years ago, and he was like, you didn't have to do that. My martinis are...
John too, like,
my martinis are really dry.
You didn't like it? Yeah. Babe, you should have said something. I wanted you to love me.
I know. He's got it down now. He knows I like...
What a classy fucker, though.
Fruity,
like,
girly
hey,
drinks.
We're going to watch this 007 movie, and I'm going to make you a martini while we do it. Was it gin?
I think it was vodka.
Okay, I was gonna say, because I am a vodka drinker. Gin tastes like lighter fluid to me, but like...
Oh, yeah, I'm a vodka girl, but still, this was like...
Yeah. Plus, I'm not a fan.
And I don't like vermouth.
And I don't like olives.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want them in salad. I don't want them in a drink. I don't get the appeal. I know this is so off topic, but I'm just like, I don't get the appeal of putting, like, food in drinks. Like,
I mean, if it's like fruit, like,
yeah.
I'm all about like good strawberry puree and my
right, but it's like a blended drink, you know, like if you're making like a pina colada and then you like pop in like a slice of pineapple like on top, I'm like, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah.
Who had the stupid idea to like put an olive or like a piece of onion in a drink?
And now I'm gonna pour olive juice also into this liquor.
Yeah, that's a no. Like especially an olive.
Men had the idea to do that.
What would we do without them?
One of the greatest things ever was I was at a party for work that the place I was working at the time, the CEO had like a big like thing at her house, and she had like a bartender there.
Fabulous.
And I remember just going to the bartender, I was like, I would like something fruity and girly.
Yes.
And he basically made me like vodka, Sprite, and like...
Oh, so like a Dirty Shirley.
Kind of, it was like a vodka cranberry with Sprite in it. I was like,
nice.
Give it to me.
Yeah, I hope you told him to give it to you. Yeah, that's good.
Not the bartender. I was there with John.
Oh yeah, well you know, I don't know what you guys are into, but no shame.
There's probably a romance novel about that.
Oh, absolutely. I've read it, and yeah, no, I'm with you. I've definitely given that same order. I've said, I'd like something fruity with vodka. Or, like, I want something fruity where I don't taste the alcohol, but it's there. Like, so, I'm with you. I like a good girly drink.
Yep.
Yeah. Good stuff. Okay, did you have a favorite sexcerpt that you wanted to read for us?
I want to read. Oh,
yeah, dabble us with your talents.
I don't know about this.
I have to read this little thing. It's not even a sex scene, but... well, I guess it is with your hand. There is a scene where Shepherd jacks off using her shampoo because he loves the smell. And it's not like a weird fetish thing. It's like, he's like, oh, I feel like I've seen this in other stories too, where the male character is like super turned on by the way the woman smells, or like she has the shampoo or air about her. You know, sometimes it's just her scent, and then other times it's like, oh, and she was wearing that lotion I love, or whatever. it's always strawberries. They always smell like strawberries. And I'm just like, what am I doing wrong? Because I for sure do not smell like strawberries. And I don't know if I want to smell like strawberries because...
When I think of smelling like strawberries, though, I think of, like, the cheap, like, Suave strawberry shampoo that you can, like, buy at the dollar store. Yes. The, like, where you just, like, end up smelling like a Pop-Tart afterwards.
Or I have a face mask that's, like, made with strawberries, and it even has, like, seeds, like, in the face mask. And I'm just like... That's great for, like, you know, a 10-minute mask, but, like, I don't want to smell like strawberries all day. But maybe this is what men want, and that's why I'm single.
You just need to, like, bathe with Pop-Tarts.
Yeah. Ooh. Yes. That's my favorite kind of Pop-Tart, so I'm okay with that.
I also think of, like, that old, I don't know if you remember that Taco Bell commercial where they had, like, a new bacon taco, and there was a commercial for it where this woman was, like, keeping it in her purse, and, like, this super hot guy at a bar comes up to her and is like, what are you wearing? It's intoxicating. Oh my god. It was the bacon taco in her purse.
These are my choices to attract
smell
a
like
man.
Strawberry or bacon, apparently, is what you need to get yourself a fella.
And I love both these things, but not on my body. Like, I want them in my mouth, and that is it. So let me give you a brief scene from when Shepherd has a little jack-off section in the shower with Everly's strawberry-scented shampoo. Here we go. There was no point in fighting it now. I let the images of a naked Everly flit through my mind. All that smooth skin, those curves, her perky tits and tapered waist. I liked imagining her in the bath, but my mind moved her to the bed. My hand gripped my dick tighter as I stroked up and down the length of my cock, still slow and deliberate. Thinking about Everly on her back, her hair fanned out over my sheets, her hands on her tits, teasing her nipples. I'd climb on top of her and sink my cock in deep, get lost in her pussy. Man, they're hitting all the key words, like, in one paragraph.
It's like
we've got pussy, cock, tits...
It's
nipples,
like a super dirty find and replace.
Dick, like, all in one paragraph. That's fantastic. I love it.
My, like, super repressed Catholic upbringing makes this all very uncomfortable for me.
Okay.
I was telling my friend when I was telling my friends that I was going to be on the show, I was like, this should be very entertaining because I'm going to be super uncomfortable.
That's good. You know, learning new things, talking about them, opening a safe space. Here we go. Stroking faster, I imagined her in my office. Spoiler alert, that happens. On her knees, my cock in her mouth, a wicked gleam in her eyes, bent over my desk with her skirt hiked up to her waist, her luscious ass in the air. I'd pound her from behind while she whimpered my name, trying to stay quiet. Fuck, this was good. The entire shower smelled like her and my dick was stiff in my hand. Grunting as my muscles tensed, I stroked it out hard, faster. I was immersed in hot water, steam, and strawberry shampoo, riding the edge of my climax. My dick pulsed as I started to come, the sweet release making my eyes roll back. I grunted again. It wasn't sex, and it wasn't her, but it was pretty fucking good. I love that. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. You know what? It's so funny. I feel like we don't see it enough, but that we're seeing it. I feel like we weren't seeing it for a long time, and now I'm seeing it in movies, TV shows, and in books are like more, not only masturbation scenes, but like more mutual masturbation scenes.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, this was like not happening at all. And now I swear in like the last like year or so, I've seen it on like 3 different shows.
Yeah.
I've read it in books. Like, I'm like, great.
Sex positive.
Yes. I mean, it really is such a change that's happening right now. And I appreciate it.
Okay. So can I read the part right before the car sex that's going to like not make me super uncomfortable, but.
Oh, okay. If you must.
Just like I said, my baby steps for me.
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay. So I flung my arms around his shoulders and had to stop myself from jumping up to wrap my legs around his waist. My fingers tangled in his messy hair as his tongue delved into my mouth. He tasted like whiskey and sex and potent masculinity. Under normal circumstances, I would have held back a little. After all, we were in a public place. But there was no holding back now. His arms were hot steel around me, his delicious mouth tangling with mine. My heart beat furiously as he sucked on my lower lip, one hand moving beneath my shirt to splay across my ribs. I wanted to rip his clothes off, rip my clothes off, but a part of me, way back in the recesses of my hormone-soaked brain, was still rational. We were in a bar, surrounded by people.
I love the smell of potent masculinity in the morning, don't you?
Whiskey, sex, and potent masculinity. I think that's a Calvin Klein scent.
So I mean, if women get strawberries and bacon, that means men get sex, whiskey, and potent masculinity.
Which is not a smell that I think would be good.
I don't know. I'm kind of on board with, like, the whiskey in a bar smell. Like, like a little smoky. Like, I don't want him to smell like an ashtray, but, like, there's, like, those... There's definitely like a male scent that's like musky, a little smoky. I'm like, I'm all about it. But, you know, I would prefer that over strawberries. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So I like my men not to smell like fruit. Oh boy.
Okay, those smell like fruit and don't smell like. I can't with people who wear Old Spice because it just smells like my dad.
Yeah. And like, then Axe body spray. I'm like, okay, this isn't a middle school locker room. Like, we're done with that. That was a lovely, you know, time of life, but I don't want to be dating a 14-year-old boy. So
yes, I won't wear Dream from the Gap. You don't wear Axe, and we'll be happy.
We can do better.
Although they do have they have like grown-up Axe sprays now. They do. No, John has like a deodorant that's like not like.
That's okay though. You're not
little boy locker room
everywhere. You know, it's like you roll it on, and then there's like it's not everywhere. It's not in the air as well as your hair and your face and your arm. Like it's not everywhere. True. You know.
Well, and I feel like Axe also got a bad rap because teenage boys would use it to like hide the fact that they hadn't showered.
Right. Disgusting creatures.
Yeah, gross boys.
Yeah. My mom's a middle school teacher. I know.
Oh, that poor woman.
And you know what? Hasn't changed. Like, I wish I smelled more Axe when I substitute teach for her. I wish I smelled more Axe and less boy.
Yeah.
So,
oh, God.
Yay,
boys are
middle
gross.
School, to be 12 again.
No. Oh, no. I was
again.
I was at a restaurant with some friends recently, and there was these teenage girls in the bathroom, and one of them just looked like bereft, and her friend was just like, "Are you gonna text him?" And and this girl who looked like she may or may not have been crying was like, "I just don't know if he likes me." And I was like, "Oh God, I'm so glad.
Sorry.
I'm so glad those days are behind me."
Yeah, for real.
Like.
For real. And it's like if you could talk to like your 13-year-old self
and be like, it's gonna be okay.
And just be like, don't worry about it. It's all bullshit.
It's like, not important.
It's
I
not
know.
Worth it.
But when you're 13, 14, 15, like that stuff
everything.
Is the world. Yeah.
It's insane. Speaking of bad dates and dating, like I said before, everyone needs to check out the My Worst Date podcast because Have you listened to them before?
No, I wrote it down though.
It's a trio of ladies based in Los Angeles, and they will take submissions from Twitter, Instagram, their website. They'll find stories on Reddit and just like so many fantastic stories. I mean, they're awful stories. Like they're hilarious to listen to, but the fact that people have lived them, I'm just like, I'm so sorry. But yeah, everybody needs to check it out. It's one of my go-to podcasts. I can't get enough, and it's just so funny and sad all at once. Like, you will be rolling on the floor. It is a Raffle podcast for sure.
Sometimes I can't handle that. Like the secondhand embarrassment like kills me.
But it's so, especially if you're like a 20 or 30 something woman, like you'll for sure connect.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's fantastic.
So real.
Yeah, so real. And they're all there commiserating with you. Like they've all been there. They understand, you know, you'll feel like you're at like a slumber party with like your girlfriends.
Oh, that's
So,
nice. I do enjoy those kind of shows.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely recommend. Okay, so last thing I'll ask you to do as we wrap up our episode is I'm going to ask you to give the book a few grades.
Okay.
So we're going to grade Faking Miss Right for story, syntax, and sexcapades.
Okay.
On a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being the absolute worst that it could possibly be, obviously. Yes. 10 being the very best. And let's start with story. What would you give it out of 10?
Story? I'll give it an 8.
Okay, I did an 8.5, so I'm with you. I feel like we've kind of covered everything. Like, it's,
yeah,
it's definitely a heightened reality. It's fairy tale-esque.
Oh, for sure. It's complete, like, hyper reality wish fulfillment, but it also knows that it's that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's
the writer
so important.
Yes, it's terrible when you have that kind of a story and, like, they're unaware.
Right, and I feel like anybody who's read romance knows exactly what we're talking about. I mean, I'm sure, and it's not just limited to romance. I mean, that's across the genres. Yeah. That when you read a story and you're like, oh my God, you don't know that this is, like, outrageous and ridiculous to you. Like, no, Claire Kingsley knows. She is on board and she is full throttle.
Yeah, she's got the genre down. And
for sure. How about syntax? So the lovely Claire Kingsley's writing style, her word choice. What'd you think?
I'm going to go a little bit lower for syntax. I will give that a 7.5.
Okay. I gave it a 9. So I'm curious to hear what your what grading it down looked like for you. Like, what was your reasoning?
Well, for syntax, I kind of included some of the characterization into that.
Okay, cool. That's fine.
And as we talked, a lot of the sub-characters was sort of more of archetypes than actual like thought out
That's fair.
people.
Yeah, because like in terms of like the siblings and everything, like they were there. I don't know if they necessarily like added more to the story.
They're all a little bit flat. I think intentionally so, but
yeah, sure.
But I docked it a little bit for that.
No, I'm with you. It's all good. That makes sense to me. How about our sexcapades?
Sexcapades. Again, I'm not super familiar with the romance genre, but I would give it a 9.
Yeah, I gave it a 9 too.
I feel like the parts that are like, okay, I've read similar are still like pretty good, and then I think the car scene in particular kind of bumps it up a couple points for me. I think because I hadn't read anything like that before.
They were like, hot. Yeah, like the scenes are hot. Like, don't let the cute title or like the couple on the cover
they get
fool you.
Hot
like
and heavy.
These are hot scenes.
Full like NC-17. Like,
yes, and I love.
Must be 18 to enter. Yeah.
Yes, to enter.
Oh no!
You took it there.
I didn't even mean it that way.
But yeah, no, I'm with you. If anything, I would have liked them to hook up earlier. I was like, come on, do it!
Oh yeah, there's a long burn for that.
Yeah, it's for sure.
It's like halfway through the book. Yeah.
Like I want to say like the first hookup scene happens like. I read it on Kindle, so it like counts it by the percentage. It was like 52% into the book. Like, it was for sure more than halfway. That's not to say that I needed them like, fucking on every page.
Oh,
like
he definitely jerks off to the idea of her, like to the idea of her and her shampoo.
Exactly.
Like
exactly.
I think like a quarter of the way through or something like that.
Yeah. So we're like, oh, okay, fine. Like,
yeah.
But okay, cool. So I mean, overall, good experience. You're looking forward to at least Hazel's book, maybe Nora. And do you think like after having read this book, like is romance a genre that you would maybe like put a little more of into your life? Like, would you read another romance novel?
Yeah, possibly. I feel like it's a good like break between like if I read this one in particular after I had just read a couple of like super serious, mildly depressing like nonfiction things.
Yeah.
Like I had read Bad Blood, that book about the Theranos scandal. And like and I was just like, oh god. And this was a good sort of like, nothing like too bad happens, nothing is too surprising.
Cleanser,
it was. It's I feel like these kind of books are good, like feel good fantasy break from.
And that's not to say that they're any less valid or valuable than, a nonfiction or, Stephen King thriller is. Like, I mean,
it's the difference between like a glass of wine and a can of Coke. Like, they serve different purposes.
Yeah, they're both delightful, although I drink neither. And so that analogy is lost on me.
But you know what I mean? It's like two things that will quench your thirst.
Yeah.
They are like treats in a respect, but you're trying to get different things out of them.
Mine would be a cupcake versus a another cupcake.
A creme brulee.
I think in terms of desserts, I know, I'm just like, no, I could eat that with that. I was going to say cupcake and ice cream. Like, no, you just eat those together. How about donut and cupcake? No. Donuts are cupcakes. Like, they just are shaped differently. Like, so whatever. I'm fat. I'm fine. Well, thank you so much for doing this with me.
Well, thank you for having me. This is a blast. Like I said, I'd never gotten like a preview copy of something before.
I know, we're special.
I feel so
right?
fancy.
I'm sorry if we made you feel uncomfortable in any way.
You can't see us, but we're flipping our hair right now.
Oh, yeah.
So
actually,
fancy.
We're both in like high ponies right now.
For real.
So
our hair's super up.
We're metaphorically flipping our hair. Like, I'm thinking about it and picturing it, and when I take down my ponytail, it's going to happen.
Yeah, there's going to be flipping.
Yeah, there's going to be mad flipping.
Hard flipping.
We can't get any better than that, so we'll leave it at hard flipping.
Also a romance novel, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's got to be like
a sexy construction. Yes. Yeah,
I'm here for it. And if somebody wants to send us an advanced reader's copy
of hard flipping,
we will be more than happy to read it.